Cicero is full of contradictions. He's a sadistic assassin wearing jester's clothes. He's a madman named after a famed philosopher. And his biggest dream is to become listener, even though he's unworthy. Cicero's journals tell us his sad story about his dark descent into madness. This is that story. In the year 186 of the 4th era, the 23rd of Evening Star, Cicero arrived in the Shadenhall Sanctuary for the first time after his former home, the Bruma Sanctuary, was compromised. Unfortunately, the Bruma Sanctuary was not the only safe haven for assassins to be ransacked. Others across the continent had been discovered variously by guards or rampaging mobs. Cicero carried out a variety of contracts during his time at Shadenhall, demonstrating his prowess and his intelligence. In one, he posed as an adoring fan whilst escorting his target, the Grand Champion, slashing his throat in the woods. By the year 188, only 3 sanctuaries remained: Shadenhall, Falkreath, and Corinth, although the last was in the process of evacuation. The statue of the lucky old lady in Breville was destroyed too, leaving the Night Mother's tomb susceptible. The Night Mother's body was smuggled out of the city to the Shadenhall Sanctuary to the north. The listener was not so fortunate, and burned to death at the hands of a mob of angry mages in Breville. Months passed, and no new listener was chosen by the Night Mother in the Shadenhall Sanctuary. Cicero was eventually named Keeper, his job to maintain and protect the Night Mother's decaying body. Although initially happy, Cicero lamented his inability to now fulfill contracts. His new role forbid it. His last victim, though, a joker, inspired Cicero so much that he decided to appropriate his visage and wear his clothes. It is at this point Cicero descended slowly into insanity. He doubted himself heavily for not hearing the Night Mother's voice. He expected to be named the next listener. He fell quickly into depression, not least because he missed killing as well. In the year 189, violence erupted in Shadenhall, threatening the safety of the sanctuary. Contracts ran dry, and the handful of assassins remaining could do nothing but wait. Out of desperation, their leader declared himself listener. Cicero saw through his lies and convinced a fellow brother to slay him. 3 assassins remained, but not for long. One was killed in the street, and the other fled. The jester began speaking to Cicero after he was left alone in the sanctuary by himself, but Cicero's mental faculties did not completely desert him despite this voice in his head. He was able to write a formal letter to Astrid asking permission to transfer to the Falkreath Sanctuary, the last surviving safe haven for Dark Brotherhood assassins in Tamriel. In the year 200, Cicero embarked on his journey to Skyrim. He visited the Dawnstar Sanctuary first, in the hope that the Night Mother might yet ordain him listener. He enjoyed having the sanctuary to himself, but eventually, dejected, he made his way to the Falkreath Sanctuary. He hoped the Night Mother would choose a new listener, and he also wanted to teach Astrid the old ways, because she had deviated from them. Cicero's journals end there. I think that 2 things ultimately sent Cicero mad. Firstly, his inability to kill. Even though he was alone in the Shadenhall Sanctuary towards the end, he never shirked his duty. His commitments as keeper forbade him from slaying anyone. He gives an example in his journal. He came across a lone woman outside a tavern, an easy victim, but he refrained from killing her because he felt it would have violated his job. Cicero lives by the old code, the 5 tenets, and so he felt a sacred connection to the Night Mother, and when he was made keeper, he had to swear not to fulfill any more contracts. Cicero, at heart, is a sadist. Like most assassins in the Dark Brotherhood, suddenly depriving him of something he enjoyed, killing, was always going to upset him, and possibly send him loony. I think his adoption of the jester guise in the spirit of his last victim is symbolic of his desperation to relive his glory days as a killer. He never wanted to forget the fun he had dismembering his contracts. Secondly, I think the deterioration of the Brotherhood shattered Cicero's psyche. His early journal entries make clear that his only family was the Brotherhood. It's all he had. He saw the organisation slowly crumble before his very eyes. He saw those he loved die and abandon him in equal measure. And then when he arrived in the Falkreath Sanctuary, where no one is willing to accept him, and he finds it different from the old way, he was sent further into the abyss that is insanity. Cicero's rampage in the Falkreath sanctuary, his attempt to attack Astrid, and his wounding of both Visara and Arnbjorn, I think, was a desperate attempt not only to sate his desire to kill, but to try and return things back to what he perceived as the normal way. Astrid's way of doing things, against the Night Mother's wishes, angered him, and was a barrier to a return to the old ways he knew. Cicero is an idiot in the literal sense because he's clearly mad, but unlike most other idiots I've analysed on this channel, Cicero's idiocy clearly has a much darker ethos. That being said, he does do something exceedingly stupid. He travels across Skyrim in the most conspicuous way possible, hauling a coffin whilst dressed as a joker. I'm surprised guards, bandits or soldiers didn't flag him up and attack him for such outrageously suspicious behaviour. But maybe he can be excused for that because he is, quite literally, mad. If there are any other stupid things he does that you can think of, or just things that amuse you, then please let me know. But anyway, thanks for watching this video. If you want to see more, then please feel free to subscribe. Thanks again, and I'll see you guys in the next one.